In the quiet suburbs of Utah, a story unfolded that began with the illusion of perfect family life and descended into unimaginable horror. Ruby Frank, once celebrated as a devoted mother, sharing her parenting wisdom with millions online, became the center of one of the most shocking child abuse cases in recent memory. This is the account of her rise, the dark turn influenced by extreme beliefs, the brutal crimes committed against her own children, and the justice finally delivered. Ruby Frank, born in 1982, grew up in a large Mormon family in Utah. She married Kevin Frank in 2000, and together they had 6 children: Sherry, Chad, Abby, Julie, Russell, and Eve. The family appeared wholesome, rooted in faith and structure. In 2015, Ruby launched the YouTube channel 8 Passengers, named for the 8 members of their household. The channel quickly gained traction, amassing over 2.5 million subscribers by its peak. Videos depicted daily life, homeschooling, chores, family outings, and Ruby's approach to discipline. She positioned herself as a no-nonsense parent, emphasizing responsibility and consequences. Early content showed light-hearted moments like birthday celebrations or vacation vlogs. But over time, Ruby's strict methods drew attention. She openly discussed withholding meals from children who forgot lunches, removing bedroom privileges for months as punishment, or confiscating toys and electronics. Viewers admired her for what seemed like tough love in a permissive world, while others grew uneasy seeing glimpses of harshness. Petitions circulated online calling for investigations into potential abuse, but child services visits in prior years found insufficient evidence to intervene. The channel thrived financially through ads and sponsorships, turning the Franks into influencers. Ruby became a voice in Mormon parenting circles, advocating for high standards and repentance. By 2020, controversies intensified. A video revealed her oldest son, then 15, had slept on a beanbag for 7 months after pranking a sibling. Another showed her youngest daughter, age 6, upset over forgetting lunch at school, with Ruby refusing to bring it, insisting on natural consequences. Critics accused her of public shaming and emotional neglect. Ruby and Kevin defended their style, claiming clips were taken out of context and that their children were happy and thriving. Subscriber numbers dipped, but loyal fans remained. In 2022, the channel paused amid growing backlash, and Ruby shifted focus. She had begun working with Jody Hildebrandt, a licensed mental health counselor running Connections, a life coaching program blending therapy with religious principles. Hildebrandt's teachings emphasized personal truth, breaking distortions, and severe accountability for perceived sins. Ruby credited Connections with transforming her life. The 2 women partnered professionally, launching a joint Instagram account, Moms of Truth, and producing videos on parenting, relationships, and self-improvement. Ruby separated from Kevin around this time, influenced by Hildebrandt's counsel, and moved closer to her new mentor. The family fractured quietly with older children expressing concerns, but Ruby isolated herself, further embracing what she described as deeper spiritual insights. What began as controversial parenting escalated into calculated torture, driven by a warped ideology of religious extremism. Ruby Frank and Jody Hildebrandt came to believe the children were possessed by evil spirits, requiring extreme measures to force repentance and exorcism. This distortion justified depriving the youngest children of basic needs, convincing them they deserved punishment for imaginary sins. The abuse targeted primarily the 2 youngest, Russell, around 12 at the time, and Eve, around 9. It occurred mainly at Hildebrandt's large home in Ivins, Utah, where Ruby had relocated with the children. The conditions resembled a work camp infused with psychological terror. The children were denied adequate food and water for extended periods, leading to severe malnourishment. They were forced to perform heavy physical labor outdoors in the intense Utah summer heat, without shoes, sunscreen, or brakes, resulting in blistered feet and severe sunburns. Russell attempted to escape once, prompting Ruby and Hildebrandt to bind him hand and foot with duct tape and ropes, restraining him for hours or days to prevent further flight. Wounds from these bindings went untreated, becoming infected. Eve was coerced into jumping repeatedly into cacti, causing painful injuries and running barefoot on hot dirt roads until her feet bled. Both children were kicked, beaten, and held underwater as forms of discipline. Emotional manipulation was relentless. The women isolated the children, shaving Eve's head as humiliation, hiding her in closets, and repeatedly telling them they were evil, possessed, and unworthy of love unless they repented fully. Punishments were framed as acts of love, necessary to save their souls. The children internalized this, coming to believe they deserved the suffering. Ruby documented some beliefs in journals, describing the world as filled with deception and the need for harsh truth to purge darkness. Hildebrandt, as a trained counselor, reinforced these ideas, pathologizing normal child behavior as demonic influence. The older 4 children were separated earlier, some living with relatives or elsewhere, but the youngest endured the worst in isolation. Kevin Frank, estranged and living apart later, claimed he was unaware of the extent, though he had attended some connection sessions. Neighbors noticed absences, and oldest daughter, Sherry, raised alarms to authorities, but intervention came too late until one fateful day. Justice arrived dramatically on August 30th, 2023, when Russell, emaciated with open wounds and duct tape marks on his ankles and wrists, escaped through a window at Hildebrandt's home. He ran to a neighbor's house begging for food and water, his condition so alarming that the neighbor immediately called police. Officers arrived to find the boy terrified, pleading not to be returned. A search warrant led them to discover Eve hiding in a closet, similarly malnourished, her head shaved and showing signs of abuse. Ruby Frank and Jody Hildebrandt were arrested on the spot, each facing 6 counts of aggravated child abuse, second-degree felonies. The 4 youngest children entered state custody, while the older 2, adults by then, distanced themselves publicly. Sherry posted online, finally, expressing relief. Investigations revealed journals, videos, and evidence confirming the systematic torture motivated by extremist religious views. Both women pleaded not guilty initially, but shifted as evidence mounted. In December 2023, Ruby pleaded guilty to 4 counts, admitting in her agreement to the bindings, starvation, and forced labor, agreeing to testify against Hildebrandt if needed. She described being led into a dark delusion, but accepted responsibility. Hildebrandt followed days later, pleading guilty to 4 counts under a similar deal. Sentencing came on February 20th, 2024 in a Utah courtroom filled with tension. Prosecutors described the case as one of the worst they'd seen, akin to a concentration camp-like setting, with children brainwashed into self-blame. Victim impact statements highlighted lasting trauma, physical scars, emotional devastation, and shattered trust. Kevin Frank, filing for divorce shortly after, sought maximum penalties, calling the abuse horrific and inhumane. Ruby spoke tearfully, apologizing to her children, saying she had believed dark was light due to isolation and distorted morality. She vowed accountability. Hildebrandt expressed love for the children, but showed limited remorse. Judge John Walton imposed the maximum, for consecutive terms of 1 to 15 years each for both women, totaling up to 60 years, capped at 30 under Utah law. The Utah Board of Pardons and Parole would determine actual time served. Both are incarcerated at the Utah State Correctional Facility, with initial hearings years away. As of late 2025, Ruby pursues education behind bars, while Hildebrandt remains separated.